Everyone dreams of living an uncommon life, and the best asset you have to achieve your dreams is you. Welcome to the Uncommon Wealth Podcast. We're going to introduce you to people who are living uncommonly. We're also going to give you some tools and strategies for building wealth and for pursuing an uncommon path that is uniquely right for you.
Hello, everyone. You are listening to the Uncommon Wealth Podcast, where I'm your host, Phillip Ramsey.
And I'm Aaron Cramer.
Thank you for tuning in. We are talking today and trying to make things simple. We do manage people's money. That's what we do here at Uncommon Wealth. We also give people customized plan for them to live their most uncommon life, which is focusing on their gifts and skills and how they get excited. Super fun. I love what I do. But today we're talking about the side where we manage people's money. And there's a lot of confusion. Are you an investment manager? Are you a fund manager? Are you a portfolio manager? So today we're going to try to simplify it for you and tell you what we do and our philosophy here at Uncommon Wealth.
Yeah. I know this is fun. So it's the hardest thing about our industry is people call each other so many different things. Yeah. I think just last week, someone's like, what are you like? Financial, and it's like, oh, like people will call themselves a financial advisor, financial planner, wealth manager. And really, like, we're all kind of the same. We all are in the same line of work, but I think it can show what you lead with. Like, you know, if you're a wealth manager, you lead with portfolio management and then planning second. Like, we kind of call ourselves financial planners because we lead with planning, you know? Yeah.
There's so many ways. That's a good point. There's a lot of ways. And I do think the way that people like introduce themselves is telling. If somebody's like, hey, what do you do? I was like, I own a business. That's what I say normally. And they're like, what? Yeah. And what? I'm like, financial services. Like I don't really know how else to say it, you know? But I do think there's like people who just like, I only want to manage people's money. Then another person is like, I just want to give financial plans. Where we would land, we probably tend to like the plans more because then we feel like we can invest your money accordingly. We put a little bit more emphasis on the financial planning to make sure we're all excited about it and we're going to hit the goals that we want to hit. To me, it's just kind of like the roadmap. I'm trying to map it out together with our clients. And then once we do that, then we can talk about investments.
Yeah. I mean, investments are just a tool. Like, it's one tool of many. So with a plan, you really get to hound in. Do you need 10% in the market? Maybe you don't, you know, for what you have and everything. Yeah. But like, if there's not a financial plan, like, we don't know what you need to earn to get to your goals or that. So that really helps us draw that out. And because it is a tool, we got to try to be good at using it.
Amen to that. And I think no matter what, fees are a huge importance before we jump into this. Make sure that you know the fees that you are, not only that you're like giving to your financial advisor, but also like, what are the platform fees? What are the investment fees? All the different things and fees. There's a lot of different layers. Maybe there's a third-party money manager. Well, they don't do it for free. I'll tell you that. And we've in the past have this thought that, okay, these money managers are going to help us get more return out of the market. And what we found was it wasn't true. And they were also charging a lot of money for things that we could put together ourselves. And so Uncommon Wealth has gone through a trajectory or a plethora of different kind of philosophies. We've landed on this one. Fees are low. And then we do things that are tried and true. Historically, things that are like, this adds up. So let's talk through it. What do we do? How would you say it? How would you simplify it? Aaron, I can't wait to see how you say this.
This is like how I think about it. Now, if you're a professional listening to this or have your opinion, you can use it so many different ways. But I look at us, financial advisors. We are portfolio managers. Okay. So especially if you lead with planning, because you might have, you know, investment properties. That's within your portfolio, right?
Oh, that's a good idea.
So
I like that.
You have either a portfolio manager, and then you have fund managers. That's what I want to talk about today. Like, I feel like this is a big takeaway.
Yep.
And what's the difference between the two, right? Like, all these guys on Wall Street, or they have these like certain designations. Why don't you see financial advisor have this designation. Like what I'm thinking about is like a CFA, like certified financial analyst, which is huge exams. Like it's like 3 big exams, really hard test. You typically find those guys, that designation is people working at BlackRock. They're managing like what we call a ticker. Like they're small cap, large cap tickers, for the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones or whatever it is. They're managing that fund, and that's what you'd call as a fund manager.
Okay.
So, but for us as an advisor, well, we don't need to like be to that extent. What we have to do a really good job at is being able to look at that fund manager. Like how well are you doing managing that fund? Where are you positioning things within that fund? Because if it's, if you're trying to position yourself appropriately among small cap, mid cap, and large cap, but the 3 fund managers you pick are all overweighted in AI technology right now, now you don't have a very well balanced portfolio.
Right.
So that's where, as a portfolio manager, for us, it's important to make sure we dig into those fund managers, see what they're doing, what are their returns, and what are they charging too? Like, because you got some of these fund managers, they're almost charging 1% themselves.
Oh yeah.
That makes a difference. And it's like, what are your returns? Like, are your returns worth what you're doing? I mean, me and Phil can typically sometimes, majority of the time make an argument like, nah, it ain't worth that much.
Yeah, that's right.
There's another fund over here, like doing very similar things. And maybe it didn't get the return you got, but after the fund, like expenses
fees
and return, it beats you,
Yeah.
So, but that's the big one for us is like, it's really digging into it and making sure you have a well-balanced portfolio among the different funds you have within your portfolio.
Yeah. Like we would prescribe, I guess is the right word, to this modern portfolio theory that there should be winners, there should be losers in every account. You just don't know what and when. Therefore, you have to have a smattering of all these things in your portfolio. And if you do have, like, let's say, this is a good example for the portfolio managers. Let's say somebody's like, well, I've got some CDs in the bank. They're making 5%. Okay. So like, let's go a little bit more aggressive on this side, because when you take the percentage of the total amount, the amount in your, like, let's say the money that we're managing ends up being 60%. The rest of it might be in CDs, which is very safe. So if you look at the whole portfolio, you're at like a 60-40 blend. But when we go together and put money in, we might put it in a way more aggressive portfolio because we know that you have CDs on the other side.
Yep.
So in totality, it's like, okay, we're staying within your risk tolerance. We're doing a little bit more aggressive over here because we have so much safety over here. So that to me is what portfolio managers does. And I like the word portfolio manager because it also like deals with people's risk tolerance and then overarching plan. Can they take a huge risk? Do they not? Can you see the writing on the wall? The market's been up for the last 2 years. They're like, oh yeah, I don't care about risk. Like, but is that true? And Aaron and I have invested in different like softwares to be able to kind of pull that information out for people. And then we just kind of like try to go from that document. Like, hey, this is what the portfolio says because we have real estate, because we have CDs, because we have some bonds over here. We've looked at your 401k account. This is what we think that we can safely say in your risk tolerance, we can manage your money at, and it fits your overall plan.
Yep. Yeah. Cause like, that's the thing. Like, people, if you're really big into real estate, you got a lot of real estate, like actual real estate, you own homes and you're renting them out or whatever you're doing. Like we probably do, on your investment side, probably don't want to like put more of that in there.
That's right.
Because you already got plenty of it in there. So let's diversify yourself. Cause like Phillip was saying, no one has a crystal globe knowing what's going to happen. So you got to like diversify within there. So it meets and attacks like all those times that possibilities that could happen in the future.
Right.
So it's really good. That risk tolerance questionnaire we put out is good. It is fun to do because we have clients that be like, no, they'll come back that they're a lot more conservative, and they're like, no, I'm good. Especially when we just went off like a couple of years when we came off of our like longest bull run ever.
Right.
They're like, no, I'm good. I'm good. And then we had our correction, and they're like, oh, dang it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, man, we talked about it, and then it did save us. It was like, oh no, because it's a good learning moment.
It is.
But
it is.
Do like if you're working with somebody, if they do a risk questionnaire and you come back way more conservative than you thought you were going to be, like really take a moment to think about that. Because that means more aggressive you are, the flip side hurts a lot more.
That's right. So anyway, so that's what we do is more portfolio managing. We would say like fund managers are those ones that get paid a lot of money to just manage tickers for people. What we're trying to do is take a whole totality of information and try to work it down individually for our clients. And that to me is our kind of not uncommon like play, but like we do feel like we do customized plans for our clients. And each one of our clients, like a snowflake, is a little different. And they're all trying to do different things. And so how do we look at each one of our clients? And honestly, it is that we try to look at them as a unique individual trying to achieve different things. And then we look at everything and we call that more portfolio management. So here's my question. If you have any questions or you have any feedback for us, you always know you can call the feedback number. It's 515-446-8158. All right. How are we going to wrap this baby up, Aaron Cramer?
I don't know. I think you did a good job. I guess, yeah, ask good questions and keep learning. And if you want to challenge us on it, reach out. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, no, and then like I would say the last thing, again, when we do put together portfolios for people, we do look at fees, which I think is life-giving for people. And we try to make sure there's no trading costs. We try to do a platform that's super inexpensive. So I'm not going to say this forever, but it does say like we try to get all of our expenses within the investments and the things that we put in portfolios under 1%. And I like that number because a lot of advisors like, yeah, I charge 1%. But what they fail to tell you is then they'll get money managers involved and they take 1%. And those money managers are putting in investments that are maybe higher cost, which puts another 5 basis points on there, 50 basis points. So all in, you're at 2.5 like fee every year. But the advisor's saying, well, I just charge 1%. And honestly, he's correct. He only charges 1%. But when you say, but what's my all-in fees? That's where you're going to get some different answers. And Aaron and I are very conscious of that to try to keep fees low for our clients, but not suffer on performance either. Yep. And it does take a unique person to just do the research. Aaron's our guy, man. He digs in. So I really appreciate Aaron and all the wisdom that you put into that. And so that's what I got.
Yeah, that's great. I'm going to elaborate a little bit because I like you brought that up. I was like, if you're out there and you're working with somebody, do ask. Me and Phillip have not shot ourselves in the foot, but stumbled because we are so uncommon in the fact of telling people all-in fees. Here's our all-in fees.
Yeah.
And when we go up against, we're like competing for a client with another firm. But like, well, that's the advisor's fee too. Yeah. We always like, sometimes we get too like in routine. We have to step back, like, hold on. Is that the client's? Is that the advisor's fee or the all-in fee? They're like, well, that's the fee that he told us. It's like, okay, to put that to apples, here's just our fee. And then it's like, oh, it's like,
yeah,
like that you have, there's your fee. There's the portfolio. He's telling you there's the average of the tickers, how he's telling you to have it balanced. There's that fee. Then is he throwing all the trading costs on your plate or is he eating those costs? Like, all of this adds up. So but it's very common for advisors not to get into that because one, it's complicated, it's confusing. Mm-hmm. The second, they don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, they don't care how the watch is made. And I would say this: I have a lot of people in this industry. I love them dearly, and every time I tell them how much we charge to manage people's money, first thing out of their mouth, what do they say, Aaron?
Oh, you're too cheap.
You got to charge more. Yeah. Welcome to Uncommon Wealth, baby. Anyway,
fees are a big deal. That's why, like Phillip said, we do believe in fees being a big deal because, like, it's a drag on your account. So we don't I mean, if your account grows, our clients with us, if your account grows, we're sitting on the same side of the table as you. So if it falls, we fall. If it grows, we grow. And if we charge too much, it holds it back from growing. That don't help nobody.
Yeah. We're in the business to get clients for life. And I think that we're doing a good job with that. So, okay, you've been listening to Uncommon Wealth Podcast. Thank you for listening. I hope this was informative to you. If you got any feedback for us, again, 515-446-8158. That's our feedback number. We'd love to hear from you, by the way, because sometimes it just feels like Aaron and I are talking to each other, which is fine. Yeah, I love it.
I like that too.
Till next time, thanks for listening and go be uncommon.
That's all for this episode, brought to you by Uncommon Wealth Partners. Be sure to visit uncommonwealth.com to learn more about our services. Don't miss an episode as we introduce you to inspiring people who are actively pursuing an uncommon life.